Hi, it's Cassie with Cassie's Parlor, and today we are going to use some really amazing Grafix Arts products to make a Father's Day gift card holder. It's card with gift card holder kind of inside, and I'm going to show you exactly how to build it. Very, very simple, but also really cool when it's done. So mainly we're going to be using some shrink film today in white, and we're going to do some fun mixed media things with that. And then we're also using the black opaque Kraft plastic from Grafix, okay? So we'll walk through how to use those two supplies. I'm working on a silicone mat today because we are going to be doing some heat things and we want to protect our surface underneath. All right, I've got a lot of things here, so let me get situated and we'll get started. We're going to start with just cutting the card base. And normally for a video, I would do this ahead of time and have it ready to go, but I really wanted to walk you through and show you how easy it is to make this template, and then you can use this. You know, this is going to be a Father's Day card, but seriously, you can make these gift cards templates for any kind of occasion or holiday, and it's going to be a game changer for you, so I promise. All right, so I'm just going to make a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. Okay, so I'll give you the measurements as we go here. I've got some really great Kraft cardstock here. All right, so it's going to be 5 1/2 inches long, so we'll start there and we will just cut this 5 1/2 inches long. Okay, we don't need this strip, so I'm going to set it aside. All right, we're done cutting. All right, that's the only part you have to cut. Now this was an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of paper, so it's 11 this way. All right, and we cut it 5 1/2 that way. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers Works, the Works tool. So I like it because I can cut and score all in one tool, and it's nice and convenient. So first, so I'm butting this, the edge of this card, so going long way now. I'm butting the edge of this card against that edge, so I've got a nice, nice good corner there. And the first score line is going to be at 4 1/4, okay? Because remember, our card is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, okay? So 4 1/4. And then I'm going to flip it, make it really simple, 4 1/4 again, okay? And the reason I'm flipping it and not just like measuring out is because I want you to kind of see in your head how this comes together, so that you could make this really with any size card you want, as long as you know your halfway points and stuff like that. So now we have 2 creases or folds, right, at 4 1/4, and we've got sort of this like this middle section. All right, so what I want you to do now is to fold one side of the middle section, doesn't matter which side, butt that up against the edge. So now this is at 0, and you're going to notice that your space from this edge to the first or to the next crease line is 2 1/2 inches. So what's half of 2 1/2? 4 1 1/4, sorry, 1 1/4. So we're going to make sure this is nice and tight lined up there, and we're just going to go to 1 1/4 because it's halfway between. Okay, so I'm telling you this just because, again, you don't have to just make 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. It could be any size. As long as you're following this general rule, you are going to be good to go. So now, if we fold all of our creases and make like an accordion kind of thing, so you've got this thing popping up in the middle of your card. Okay, can you see that? That's it. All right, now it's just a matter of putting it together, making a slit, covering it, doing your fun, however you're going to decorate, and you've got a gift card holder. I'm going to show you the mechanics of all of that next. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. I just love this this idea and this pattern because it just makes it so simple for you. So we're going to finish sort of designing this card base, and then we'll get to doing the fun art stuff for the front of the card. So I just grabbed just a gift card, you know, an old gift card that I found around the house. And the first thing you're going to do is get either some like runner adhesive or red liner tape, or even like a roll of double stick tape, whatever you want to use. I would recommend a dry double stick adhesive of some sort, because, you know, it's just a gift card holder. You know, it's not going to be used in any really strong kind of way. You don't need a super strong tape here. You just need something to hold this together, and then we're going to give it a binding. Okay, so what I want you to do though, when you're putting your adhesive on, okay, so sorry. So we've got the back of the card, the front of the card, and this middle, call it the spine, okay? So we're going to fold the back of the card down. And so now I've got my first crease, my middle crease, and my top crease, okay? You see? So I'm just opening it up. I'm going to put my gift card here kind of in the middle, just going to eyeball it. Doesn't need to be perfect, okay? Remember, this is just a card you're giving to a family member, right? And then for now, we're just going to take our tape and we're going to run it all the way on both sides of this, just on the spine part. So don't let the tape cross that, you know, that other line. If it does a little bit, no biggie. We are going to cover that up anyway, but just, you know, as a general rule. So make sure it doesn't cover where your card is going to slide in and out. So now I've got tape on both of the ends here, and I'm just going to close my sandwich. Okay, so now check that out. All right. So now, but you do have this line here, and I thought, what a great opportunity to use some washi tape. So I have this really thick washi tape that's black background with, like, you know, grungy font and text and stuff on it. I thought it would be great for a Father's Day card. So I just make sure it's longer than my spine, okay? And we're going on the outside here. All right. And I'm just going to kind of put it in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect because, at least on the front, we're going to cover that up, okay? So now, when you close it, all right, make sure you close it and you give it a good burnish. Maybe I'm going to use my brayer even. Or, I'm sorry, not my brayer. My bone folder. All right, here we go. So now you've got a nice sort of binding here. It looks nicer than having that hole there, and it helps to finish it. So then I just need my scissors, which are right here, and I'm going to cut this excess off. All right. And again, if you're making this for, you know, a little girl's party, birthday, or Mother's Day, or, you know, graduation, or anything really, right? You can just change the style of washi you're using there, and it's going to work great. So here we go. We've got this part done, okay? The last step for the base of this card is to take your card, your gift card, just to give you an eyeball, like, of how wide it needs to be. And I'm taking a pencil, just kind of eyeballing halfway, you know, leaving a little bit of space on either side. And I'm going to put a pencil mark on either side, okay? Put my gift card away, grab out my scissors. You could, if you want this to be really exact, you could definitely use your, you know, your paper trimmer or something. I think it's just fine if you use your scissors and just give it a cut. And you can make this as deep or as shallow as you want it to be. Okay, so I've just made a slit in here. So now there's a spot to put your gift card. So see here. So now we have an opening because we didn't put tape in that section, right? So now we have an opening and we fit our gift card right in there. It stays perfectly. It's never going to fall out or anything. It's nice and snug in there. And now, you know, you can flip it, put your sentiment here, write a little note or whatever you want. And you've got an awesome card with a built-in gift card holder. How cool is that? Okay, so now this is done. We're going to set that aside and we're going to build the top of our card because we have to finish it, right? So this is where we're going to get into using some really awesome graphics products. First thing I want to do is show you how to use the shrink film, okay? So I've done the first two ahead of time, but I saved one to do with you just to show you the process in case you've never used shrink film. Again, I'm using this product here, okay? This is the white shrink film, and here it shows you, you can trace onto it and cut it out. You can color on it, stamp on it, die cut, punch, emboss, and paint. I mean, really, really cool, right? So lots of uses and very versatile. So I've got my, I'm going to use a Gemini Junior cutting machine, die cutting machine, but these would work you know, in any die cutting machine that you have. Big Shot or Spellbinders or Anna Griffin, any of the ones that you have. This is just a normal wafer thin die. I happen to be using a hexagon here. I like that shape for the card, no big deal. I'm going to put it, so this is my white shrink film. Again, it doesn't matter what side you use, okay? They're both shiny, and that's fine. I'm going to set that there. I'm going to put down the rest of my sandwich here. And I'm just going to quickly run this through my machine. And it is going to cut out this shape. Now the other reason I did this ahead of time, these ones ahead of time, is because I really want to show you, sorry that was loud, but I really want to show you how much it shrinks down. Okay, so let's put this off to the side. See how easy that cuts it out? I mean, absolutely perfect. No issues whatsoever. Let me put this aside for now. Okay, now look at this. This was this size before I shrunk it. So that's how far it shrinks down. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you're deciding what you're going to shrink. Okay, I think that it says it shrinks to 20% of its original size, which you can see right there. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're using it and you'll be fine. And what I would recommend is, if you're using this for the first time, I would do a sample. Whatever it is you want to die cut or whatever you're doing, or even if it's a stamp, I would do a little corner sample piece or something first, and play with it and, you know, get a feel for it before you know, do your whole project and set it all up. Okay, so there's that. So now you're wondering, well, how did I get that on there? Well, I have this amazing stuff called metallic gilding polish, okay? And this particular color is called Ocean Teal. Now, the really cool thing about this product is that it has, on the top of all of them, it has this awesome sponge. Mine is very crackly and I have to go wash it upstairs. I tried to use it to do those and it just wasn't working because I haven't cleaned mine as much as I should. So that's on me. I will be cleaning this one right after I'm done here. But I'm still able to use it. I have a separate sponge that I'll be using, but just know that the best way to use this is definitely to just wash this every so often with, you know, warm water and a little bit of soap, and it's no big deal. That sponge will last you a really long time. Okay, so now I've got my die cut shrink film, and I have my gilding polish, and I need my stencil. So I have this really cool stencil. I don't know, just to me it looks a little bit like a map, sort of, or like a map grid, you know, like of a city or something. So I thought I would use that, and it looks pretty cool when it's shrunk down. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my alternate sponge and dip it in the gilding polish and just kind of smush it and rub it around. This gilding polish works really well on the Kraft plastic, like this black Kraft plastic. It works and dries. Don't move, don't move. Works really well, works great on this shrink film, lots of surfaces. So yeah, and it dries quickly. So I love using it with my Kraft plastic. There we go, look at how cool that looks. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside just for a second, get rid of my sponge. Alright, try to clean as I go, keep this area nice and neat. And so I've got my baby wipe here, and if you wipe this gilding polish off of your stencil right away, it's going to come off really easily. Alright, so I recommend doing that. And then we are done with that stencil. Okay, so now we are going to shrink this. This is why I have the, one of the reasons why I have this silicone mat on my surface today. Normally I just work on this glass mat underneath, but you really definitely want to protect your surface, whatever you're working on, and silicone absorbs heat really well and protects what's underneath. So if you have a silicone mat, I would recommend using it for this process. So before I do this, I just want to say a couple things. One, if you're not comfortable using a heat gun to do this, you can put it like on a baking sheet in the oven. And let's see, there are instructions on how to do that on the back of the package. Okay, so it says preheat your oven to between 3 and 350, and it has the whole all the instructions there for you. But if you're comfortable doing it this way, this is a lot faster, and I'm already in my craft room. I don't have to go upstairs and heat up my oven and all of that. But just so you know, you have choices, okay? You're gonna watch this, and it's gonna wrinkle up and shrink on itself and roll over, and you're gonna think like, oh no, it's ruined. It's no good. But I promise that it isn't. It's gonna work. It's gonna be great, and it's really fun to watch. I use a pokey tool, and I just kind of keep it near it. I don't press it on it, but I kind of keep it near just to like help things along, because it's going to get super hot and you don't want to touch this with your finger, okay? The other reason to have a silicone mat, I'm going to move these out of the way, is because after it's shrunk, while it's cooling, I like to use this to help flatten it, okay? All right, so here we go. It's going to be a little loud, but I really want you to watch this process so that when you're doing it yourself, you don't freak out. Okay, here we go. And look at it starting to bend and fold on itself. And the first time you do this, you're like, oh no, what's happening? Look, it even flipped over, okay? It's okay, I promise. Uh-oh. Of course, this one time. What's happening here? Okay, there we go. I just had to hold it so it could finish. There we go. It just wanted to get away from me. So now I'm going to flip it over while it's still, ooh, I don't want to touch it, but I do want to flip it over and make sure it's, see, it's still pretty pliable. I mean, it stays hot for a while. So I'm flipping over, making sure, now you know it's done when it stops shrinking, okay? It's just not going to get any smaller. And then I take the silicone mat, and I can feel it under there. It's not too hot because this silicone really protects you from the heat. It's warm. I'm not going to lie, it is warm, but it's not hot. So, but if you have an issue, you know, you could always double up on the silicone. That's fine. All right, and then you're just going to hold there for a second so that you get it nice and flat. Otherwise, sometimes it can be a little bit curled up, but this is perfect. So now I have 3 of these, and you saw that it rolled up. It did start to stick together, but I just used my my pokey, and that really, like, that happens 1 in 20 times, honestly. But I'm glad it happened here on camera, because then I can show you how to, you know, mitigate the issue. So just make sure you're not touching it with your fingers. Have some tools around so that you can flatten it back out. You know, maybe use your silicone mat and then just keep going. Alternatively, like I said, if you're not comfortable doing it this way, totally fine. You can put it in your oven and follow the directions on the package. Okay, so now we have 3 awesome pieces of hexagon to put on our layout once we're ready. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you, I'm super excited about. This is one of my favorite techniques to do with embossing powder and embossing embossing powder and embossing folder, and something that I just think is really cool and I don't see it very often, so I'm excited to share it with you now. Okay, here we go. So let me know in the comments of the video if you have any questions about this, or if I haven't explained it well enough. I would be happy to explain further. But I'll do my best here right now. So this is just a regular embossing folder, not 3D, nothing fancy, right? Just regular. It's really cool though. It's got some fun circles on it, grungy circles. I thought it would be nice for a Father's Day card. Okay, so first, I already used it earlier, so I'm going to make sure it's nice and clean. Okay, so, hold on. Okay, so what you want to do, so the way regular embossing folders work is that one side has the background raised, and the other side has the, right, so this has the background raised, and this has the foreground recessed, so that when you smush it together and you run it through your machine, it's pushing the paper up into itself, right, to make the embossed image. So what I want you to do, if you're going to do this, is open your embossing folder and kind of feel around, say, okay, this is the front of my embossing folder because my circles that are going to be raised are going down on this side. Does that make sense? So when you shut this and you run it through and you pull out your paper, your circles here are going to be popped up. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So this side has the raised part as the background. So it's all the negative space in between the circles. Okay, so I have this is black Kraft plastic. Okay, let me show you the packaging. This is the other piece I'm using, and this is just like a big 25 pack. It's opaque black Kraft plastic from Grafix. All right, so this is what we're going to emboss onto, and we're doing double embossing because we're going to end up running it through an embossing folder and having a great impression, and also using embossing powder on it. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Okay, sorry. Let's move on. So you need embossing ink. So I'm using WOW today. Any kind of embossing ink that you use will be just fine. Remember, we're going to be working on the negative space side, or the background side of your embossing folder. You're just going to roll some of that ink onto a brayer. This really is the best way to do it. I've tried just like smushing my stamp pad around. I've tried all different sorts of ways, using sponges, whatever. The brayer is the best way to get the best coverage and the most crisp image. Okay, so just trust me, I have tested it so many ways, and I would go over it a few times like you see me doing here, partly because it's clear, so you don't know necessarily if you're getting full coverage. Okay, so then we're going to lay this down, and you want to be careful because wherever you lay it down, I think I screwed it up already. We're going to go the other way. Let's do this a little bit more. I put it right on the edge and I don't want it there. What I was saying though is that wherever you lay it down, that's where it has to stay. Okay, so you just want to be careful. Generally speaking, I would say cut a bigger piece than you need and then cut it down. Okay, so now it's in there. All right, so now we're going to get our sandwich, and I don't need the magnetic mat, I just need these. Running it through my Gemini Junior again. Okay, just like your normal setting for your, there it goes. I wasn't sure if it wanted it. Just normal setting for embossing folders, okay? Will work just fine. The Kraft, ooh, that was a little loud, sorry about that. The Kraft plastic is a tiny bit thicker than regular paper, but really not too bad. All right, so now I need paper, and I need my embossing powder. I'm using metallic platinum from WOW also, and I'm going to take this guy out and check that out. So now I've got embossing ink all over the negative space of this card, and I am just going to load this up with embossing powder. Here we go, all over the place, making sure I get it in every little nook and cranny. Okay, all right, and then we're going to lift and tap. Ooh, this is going to be pretty. Very, very cool. Okay, hold on. Tapping off as much excess. So now look at that. So now the embossing powder is only in the negative space, okay? But just wait, because we need to emboss this. It's going to get super shiny and metallic here in just a second, and you are going to be like, ooh, ah, I know it. I won't be able to hear you, sadly, but you'll hear me. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so the worst part about this silicone mat is that it's really hard to get embossing powder off of it, but that's okay. We're doing our best. Here we go. Are you ready? This is the magic part. This is so exciting, and I can't wait to see what you do. I hope you share it with me if you decide to try this technique. All right, it's loud again, but just for a second while we heat this embossing powder. All right. Oh my goodness. Seriously, can you see this? Look it. Oh, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh, I love it with the metallic. So I did this. Oh, I missed a spot. Hold on, hold on. I gotta get all the parts. Hold on. There we go. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it so much. This is so cool. So do you see I used black opaque craft plastic, ran it through an embossing folder through the machine, got a really cool impression, and then used thermal embossing on it, or heat embossing, okay? So you can do both on black craft plastic or white, either one. And look at this result. This is crazy. Like, how cool of a background is that? Oh my gosh. I could stop there. Like, I'm done, okay? All right, I'll keep going, but that's really cool. I love this technique. You could definitely do this also on white with like bright colors, you know, any kind of shape or pattern. Like, go crazy with this because it's so cool, and it just has such a like great wow factor, I think. So, okay. So I'm going to cover the whole front of this card, okay? You could leave a little border and let some of that craft show through, but I really do like it like this. All right, and now to stick this to this, I really think we need something super strong because you can see it's a little wobbly, you know, but man, it's so cool. Like, there's nothing like that. Okay, so I'm going to use some double tack tape. And these are sheets. This is also from Grafix. They are sheets of basically double stick tape. And what I really love about it is that you could die cut out of it. You can cut it to any size or shape that you need. And I'm just going to cut a nice, decent sized piece here. Okay. And it's going to go behind this, and it's really going to give it good solid foundation to stick to that card base. Okay. And it's not going to go anywhere. So I peel one side off, stick it on the background, especially because this craft plastic, now that we've done all this to it, is kind of wobbly, right? And it's got some peaks and valleys and stuff like that. So I just really think the double tack is going to make it stay on the card base a lot better. So let me make sure I like it like that, okay? And this is my top, so you also have to be careful. Make sure you're lined up and ready to go, because I'm telling you, once it's down, it's down. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so I like this. This is amazing. It's wobbly on the edges. You could put it all the way to the edge, but I honestly don't mind it. I think that I love the grunginess of it, and the fact that it's a masculine card gives you a little bit more wiggle room in that regard. So since we're working with craft plastic onto here as well, I'm going to do the same thing for these little pieces. And they don't even need to be like a hexagon, right? They don't need to be perfect shape. I'm just going to cut some strips. I just really like to use this double tack because it's really sticky and it's going to hold your pieces all together. So I'm just cutting little pieces that are, you know, big enough to fit most of the background, but not too big it's going to stick over, hopefully. Ah, we're good. So I'm going to let that be like that for now. Okay, so I've just got some white plain cardstock. It says Happy Father's Day, just nice and simple. I think there's a lot going on with this card, and just having a nice simple sentiment will be really pretty. All right, so we're going to stamp Happy Father's Day. We might have to do a couple times. This is a new stamp. And sometimes they don't. I think I like happy right here. I like it sort of connecting the pieces together. Okay, peeling the backs off. There we go. We're almost there. Happy Father's Day. I think I like it over here actually. So there we go. I love the fact that you can do that cool embossing on there. Really fun technique. I would definitely give it a try. And the shrink plastic, you know, look at, we used a stencil with some gilding polish, but you could also stamp on it. You could do all sorts of really cool things and make interesting shapes to use as your background. And there we go. And then we've got the awesome gift card holder inside. You write your sentiment and you've got your Father's Day gift ready to go. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching. I hope you found some inspiration here today, and I would really love to see some cool backgrounds using this technique if you decide to do it. For more information about Grafix products, please visit graphicarts.com. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.